the return of the Mechs, the myth, maybe a little bit of magic. So before we get into that conversation that we were having
I
before we
forgot it
started here,
already.
I need some names, and I need you to answer. What is your favorite Marvel story arc? It could be MCU. It could be X Men the animated series from the '90s. It could be comic book. I just need that. So I am Tony Avila. I have no affiliations, and I'm not a very creative person on the internet, so you can't find me anywhere. Um, if I answer that question real quickly, it's going to be the Annihilation arc from 2005. Mostly because it took Nova to an entirely new level. It took him from instead of this tiny little hero in New York to this huge player on the cosmic game. Hanson was going around. I'm just gonna go ahead. So me and you right here, we're gonna have a little
Let's start over.
conversation
Let's start
because
over.
no, we're not starting over. Excuse me. YouTube and I, we've got a thing
Oh,
going.
we
You
are
guys are you
live.
got
Dang
no.
it, we
You
can't.
guys are in your own little world. We've established a connection here, and I'm gonna walk with it.
You called Bryce.
Yeah.
So
That he came out here to figure out why you called.
hey,
Oh,
how you doing?
Just texted you.
So
I did.
we do this podcast in my lovely friend Dante's place. He
Hi, I'm
has
Dante.
roommates, and we sometimes need to work things out. But I'm so happy you're here. All right, Dante.
What? What was going on now? Am I introducing myself?
Yes. And you're
Okay.
answering the question, please.
So my name is Dante, and I'm with DanteDreams.com. That's my website. Dante is streaming. So my favorite Marvel anything is uh, the Dark Phoenix saga. It's probably one of the best things ever, best stories ever. I mean, it's not just X-Men, not just science fiction. It's just one of the greatest stories, and I've talked to Chris Claremont about it. I talked to Jim Shooter, the editor in chief of Marvel Comics at the time. And when I was growing up, I always thought it was Chris Claremont and John Byrne, the illustrator that killed Phoenix, but it was the editor in chief Jim Shooter that said, "Hey, you got to kill her. She destroyed a planet and killed everyone. She has to have consequences." And that gut punch of Jean Grey slash Dark Phoenix dying was that was like a gut punch, when you're a kid and your superhero dies.
Superhero crush is more like it.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
No?
Maybe whatever.
Okay.
That and actually, if I could do a second, is the X-Men story that came right after that, Days of the Future Past.
Ah.
And that is also such great writing. I mean, that was like, it was almost like Terminator before Terminator. It was some great writing, great art, introduced some wonderful characters. Rachel Summers, we got Rachel Summers from that, and Franklin Reed. I can't remember if Franklin Reed must have been written already, but he was an adult in that. So, anyways.
Franklin
Great stuff.
Reed or Franklin Richards?
Richards?
Richards. That's
Okay.
it.
Real quick, just gonna ask. Movie adaptation. Yay or nay?
No, that's not even a question. I'm not even going to dignify that with an answer. Because you have to know. One is quality, and
The other is garbage.
it doesn't.
I don't
Why
know.
is it mentioned in my house? That's
I'm sorry
that's,
I brought this
shame on your house. Okay.
Shame on you.
I do
Family,
think it was my
my
favorite
cat.
X-Men movie, though.
Okay.
Days of Futures Past?
No. Okay.
It's so
Days of the
good.
Future Past was one of the better ones.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the Dark Phoenix saga. The Dark.
That one was
Oh, no.
Every time they've tried it, it's trash.
That's true. They have
Apocalypse
tried it
was
twice now.
Atrocious.
So Apocalypse. So this is the problem with Fox X-Men movies. They take a name of a title, and then they just do their own thing. Same thing with the Fantastic Four.
Yep.
It's like we have the Fantastic Four. Let's change everything.
Gave us
But
the Silver
why would you do
Surfer,
that?
Didn't give us Galactus.
Exactly.
No, they gave us Galactus. He was just a
A
cloud.
cloud. See, here's the thing. Why change it around if you have some of the best stories ever in Marvel history? They had the rights to that, and they just made crap. like,
Yeah.
why don't I just make a movie that will reflect me instead of reflect, the great literary history of Marvel Comics? You know?
Because Fox was in it for the money, money,
Yeah.
money.
And that's why the Marvel Entertainment Group is, they care about their IP,
Hmm.
and that's why they are good
Okay.
for the most part.
We got one more. Who are you?
Oh, I'm Gabe Mango, like the fruit.
Mango!
I think my favorite Marvel story is Hickman's New Avengers run.
That was so good.
Time is out.
Time runs out.
Oh.
Like the lead up to that with the start of the incursions and like the Illuminati,
The Illuminati.
and then time runs out leading into Secret Wars. I think that was
The
just
Avengers Machine,
such a big-
Avengers
yeah.
World,
Mhm.
and then dude, Battle World. I mean,
Battle World was pretty cool.
okay, so one thing about that run is he brought back classic characters from the 80s. The New Universe. Are you familiar with New Universe?
I don't know.
So New Universe in 1983, 84. I was there for that, right? They said we want to do like a real they wanted to make a new Marvel Comics universe that was more realistic.
You're talking about like Hyperion? Is
I
that where
believe
Hyperion
it.
comes
I
from?
think that actually no, that was
Hyperion
actually,
was part of Squadron Supreme, wasn't he?
and that was like
Yeah.
a Justice League analog or
yeah.
something like. No, that was different.
From another
Marvel-
universe.
They made a different universe
Hyperion.
that started with a white event, where everything just flashed white, and then there was a new guy named Starbrand.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had their version of Iron Man, and they had like a bunch of different. They had 9 titles or something like that. I think Jim Shooter actually made that world. Anyways, so it lasted for about a year. Right. The best titles were like Starbrand and Spitfire. I think was the robot one, and there might have been the Night Brand or Night Breed or Night. Anyways, it didn't last, right? But then 20, 30 years later, Hickman brings them back. That's the beauty of Hickman. He'll bring like old classic stuff that he grew up with, that we grew up with, and then he reinserts it into the Marvel universe. And I love that. It was like Starbrand all over again, but he's in the actual MCU or
Yeah.
the Marvel comics.
The White Event, I believe, was one of the volumes of his run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what started it. Oh man, I think I might have a trade of Starbrand
Somewhere in the hall of books.
in the library.
Yeah.
But the Starbrand idea in the 1980s, so it started out with this old man, like a wizard kind of dude, right? And he had the Starbrand, and he didn't want it, and I think he either gave it to the guy or he I can't remember, but it caused the White Event when he
Yeah.
transferred it, right? And I think the Starbrand in that one, the can't remember his name, but he's also in the Hickman run. At one point, he puts the Starbrand on a dumbbell, and it causes like a big explosion. It's really crazy. Anyways,
Wow.
yeah, I love Hickman. I love that run.
That is a very good choice, Gabe. I have to ask though, because the name came up, and it's the one thing in my life I need to see. Dante, with your vast knowledge of comic books, has Hyperion, Gladiator, and Sentry ever been in the same comic, or even fought?
So Hyperion and Sentry fought together. They hung out,
Yeah.
but I don't know if they've. It makes Gladiator is around during. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't remember, but they should. I don't know if they're the same. Palling around,
Mm-hmm.
or they're in the same universe when the same stuff is happening, because there are a couple of cosmic galactic events that happen in that Hickman run,
Yeah.
like Infinity
Yeah.
and
Infinity was phenomenal.
yeah, and so I can't remember, but I do remember Sentry and Hyperion were hanging around. In fact, I think it's Sentry and Hyperion. They go out during Battle World. Isn't it them that they went searching for one of the factions, like the Builders or the
It was
Mappers?
before
Thor.
Battleworld.
It was
Was it
Thor.
Thor?
Because they both have really awesome
Thor
beards.
and Hyperion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
Dang it,
dang
That's
it.
like one of my favorite
That
panels.
might be one of that
They're
might be
both
one of
just
the things
staring
about.
off like into the distance, and they have these beautiful beards. This is Thor was he was unworthy during this. 'Cause
Oh, yeah.
he had his axe and his
Oh.
destroyer arm.
Wow.
I still remember I believe it was during the Infinity Run when the Avengers are in space dealing with the builders, and that up until this moment, it seems like the builders have almost been invulnerable. There's that one panel of Thor tossing the hammer, and then he's talking to one of them. He sticks out his hand, and Mjolnir goes straight through the builder into the dude's hand. It's like the first time you actually see a builder go down. Oh, that was such a great panel.
It makes you wonder how
Yeah.
much damage does Mjolnir do?
Yeah.
How much MDC does it take off? How many hit? Sorry, that's a Palladium riff. I had to throw that in, but it's
We
a-
are a bunch of Hickman stands here.
Yeah.
We will say that from
That
the
is true.
start.
Is Hickman's running? What is he writing now? Is it X-Men?
He's on X-Men.
He
isn't
was on X-Men. Now
Oh, he's
he's supervising X-Men, and I don't know what he's doing now. Wait.
Mm.
It's in the back of my mind.
Wasn't there X-Men versus?
I think it's X-Men and Avengers right now.
No, it was like I think it's a recent event. It was like X-Men versus something, or it's something that's.
I think it's
Building
that
up
X-Men
to-
Avengers versus the Celestials.
Yeah,
That's
that
the
was it.
current thing right now.
Yeah,
And I don't know what Hickman's doing right now.
Avengers versus X-Men. That was a great one.
That was
That's
pretty
kind of
cool.
what got
really
me back
good.
into comics when I was in high school.
I think I like that story because it's very Cyclops centric.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, if you've only watched X-Men movies and haven't read X-Men comic books, they've done Cyclops so badly
They
in the
murdered my
theatrical.
boy.
Look what they have done to my boy.
Cut to that GIF of.
All right, time out. Do
Cedric
you
Diggory's
do you
dad.
guys know where? Oh, is that where that?
My boy.
That you know what? I totally was thinking of a different instance of that. Of my boy. It was like Don Corleone.
Oh yeah, look how they massacred my boy.
Yeah.
But Cedric Diggory too. Dude, that was intense,
Oh,
bro.
man.
My boy.
The band is just still going, like nothing's going on.
Don't they stop the moment he comes through? It's like
They
there's a
stop
dead body
afterwards.
or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
But
Yeah.
still, that music was kind of hype.
Oh, bro. Harry Potter references.
You know what?
Where's your magic?
I watched the last Fantastic Beast movie,
Mm-hmm.
and it was probably my favorite one of that trilogy.
Really?
I
Yes,
couldn't
no.
get through it.
What?
I love Mads Mikkelsen, but I was really pushing for Johnny Depp.
I mean,
Mm.
I didn't even.
Mhm.
This it was so far removed from it, and it was like, I just watched it for what it was, and it was pretty good. It was different parts of the world, magic communities all over the place, and it wrapped it up pretty well.
Is that supposed to be? I know that they planned. I think this to be 5 movies.
Yeah,
Did they?
Yes.
that was the plan. Yeah.
I think the only problem I really have with that movie is that the second one ends with the threat of the nuclear bomb, and
You know what?
they're like setting
That
up this
would've-
idea that World War II is going to be the worst thing humanity is capable of. So it's up to wizards to like solve the human problem.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's history, then of course World War II happens. And part of me was just wondering, like, what were the wizards doing during World War II?
I
I
know.
needed to see that.
So I
Instead, we got like this political upheaval / coup / like Manchurian Candidate kind of
I
thing going on.
I always thought that the what was the bad guy from that series called?
Grindelwald?
Yeah, I always thought it was going to lead into World War II. I totally
Well, they
expected
set that
it
up
to.
in the second
yeah.
movie. Like it should happen.
But in the 7th book of the series, you kind of wonder too, because the timelines kind of,
Mhm.
they were run off together, and then they're like,
Yeah.
it was a World War II. His era would have been World War II.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
oh.
So
Maybe they do like the same thing they do in the Percy Jackson books. I don't know if you guys have read those.
I haven't read
Um,
them, but I was a big fan of the movie.
But it's like every major war that has happened in the world has been because of like demigods.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So like the Civil War was between the demigods of like the Greeks, like the Greek gods, their kids, and then the Roman. Well, the Roman and the Greek gods are
They're the same.
yeah, they're the same, but just different kind of personas. But the American Civil War was between the Roman demigods and the Greek demigods. So maybe like
The
within
American Civil War.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So they keep these two groups as far like the Greek demigods kind of stay in New York, and then the Roman ones stay in California. They keep them as far as they can.
Okay.
Because the Greek Parthenon moves with civilization. So
Mhm.
like the U.S. being what it is, in kind of the powerhouse that
Okay.
they kind of are. That's where the Greek gods are now.
Hmm.
They kind of move west as civilization does.
Are you excited for the Disney Plus
Yeah.
reinterpretation?
The author Rick Riordan has been
Of
very,
Percy
very
Jackson?
heavily
Yeah.
involved,
I'm excited.
and yeah, I think
Even though I've never watched the movie or read the books.
I have the books if you want to read them.
I like the movies.
They're good. They're easy reads. I
Yeah.
read
I
all
have the
five
audiobooks.
within like 2 weeks. Like it's
Dude, I've been killing audiobooks lately.
Oh yeah, I didn't send you because I know I promised you I would the title for the Galaxy's Edge series.
Oh yeah. The one I keep
anybody's
on getting
listening,
advertised.
Yes, to
Like,
anybody who's listening, Galaxy's Edge is by far like the premier sci-fi series right now. I don't care what anybody says. If you're looking for something to fill the Star Wars gap, if Star Wars has been disappointing lately, if you're looking for something to fill the Star Trek gap, if Star Trek has been disappointing lately, if you're a big fan of Starship Troopers, Galaxy's Edge, the book series, it's not Star Wars affiliated. It's something completely different. Is amazing with a capital O, because amazing is a completely different term. Anyway,
I wonder if they had to litigate over that title.
no, the book series started in 2017. I want to say.
Well, they definitely started building that place around that time. So
So yeah, it's man, you got to check it out if you haven't already. It's good. It's really it's filling the void in my life for good fantasy sci-fi.
I mean, I think Star Trek has a pretty good run of things right now.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean
Several
they're
shows
seeing a
that seem pretty
resurgence.
Successful, yeah.
that first season of Discovery, I was not a fan of, and I mean I wasn't really ever a really big fan of Star Trek
Shame
until
on
I got married. And my wife was/is, although we haven't watched it or really talked about it lately. She grew up watching Stargate with her dad.
Stargate.
Stargate.
Oh.
So that kind of started the exploring sci-fi on TV. Like we watched
I love Stargate.
Nathan
by the way.
Fillion, one season Firefly. We watched
Oh,
Firefly
Firefly.
together.
Yes.
Good.
Started with that, and then I started exploring on my own, and
Did you watch Serenity?
TNG
The Next
was-
Generation.
by far like the highlight of just sci-fi TV for me.
Yeah.
That
Agreed.
series is
Is that
so
with Picard?
good. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And from there, I went straight from the Next Generation into Discovery. And,
Really?
Yeah, it was a
It's
weird.
kind of a weird transition.
Yeah, it
though.
was, and I think that may have resulted in some of the ways that I feel about it, because then I had to go back, and I think I did Deep Space Nine after that.
Mhm. And
I liked it. Yeah.
Voyager.
I started Voyager. I don't think I finished Voyager. I got sidetracked by the first season of Mandalorian.
Mm.
Yeah, and I just didn't go back.
You know what? Voyager has a special place in my heart.
Yeah?
It's a special time for me when it was. So I missed. Okay, so the '90s were horrible for me for all sci-fi nerdy stuff. I
Mhm.
just was doing other things.
Got it.
But like right around the cusp of the new millennium, I had time to get into the nerdy stuff, and so I just filled up with all like Voyager. I watched the entire series, and it wrapped.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
And that and Stargate, and yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I remember one summer watching all that stuff, playing StarCraft.
I'm not a
Totally.
huge Star Trek fan, but I will say I understand why people are.
Mm.
Like I can appreciate for what Star Trek is.
I
I
agree with that.
I'm one of the people that likes both of them
Yeah.
about the same. I had to wonder. Like I always thought that I watched Star Trek first because I was watching that when I was around 5 years old. I was
Mhm.
watching it in syndication, but I actually saw Star Wars in the theater
There you go.
that one
That'll
time
change it.
when I was a baby.
Yeah.
So I have memories of that. So I've been watching them both from almost my inception.
Nice.
Conception? No, inception. I know one of those when I was really young.
And then we had J.J. Abrams come along and divide the fan bases of both.
Let's talk about let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Okay, so with the Star Trek stuff, I feel like okay, he changed that around. He made it more action oriented, and I liked all three of those movies. the first two I feel were compromised by just a little, just a couple of lines in the script.
Mm,
You know, where they destroyed Vulcan. I was like, okay, no,
don't do
you
that.
don't do that. You can't just destroy the entire. You destroyed the Next Generation, Voyager, all that stuff. No, the time cops would come because they're time cops in Star Trek, and they would have fixed it. Anyways, it was silly, and I hated that. And then the con thing, right? At the end of that movie, they kind of it left homage and it went into like mockery. It felt.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Mm.
it was awesome until that point where it's like, really, he says the line that doesn't make sense, and it's like,
Mm.
it was just like if you had not, it was a couple of lines in the script that ruined the movie. Well, I guess it didn't ruin it. I was entertained, but it was like it could have been something I liked.
Mm.
Oh,
Yeah. I mean,
and one more thing.
okay.
The ships in the JJ verse. No bueno, man. No,
No.
dude, they all have iPod lines. They all have these soft lines and like curves in there. I mean, why? They just no.
They're very like, I don't want to call them dated because it makes them sound old, but you will always know what time period those things come from, like in reality when those movies came out, because there is a type of almost language to sci-fi design
Mm-hmm.
that tends to come up. And I can even see that like with JJ's Star Wars, because you look at the stormtrooper gunships in Force Awakens. Part of me is like, that could totally be in a Star Trek movie. That blocky,
The one that looked like a World War
just a
II landing.
shoebox. Yeah.
Horrible, dude. Horrible design. It was like
I could
why?
say they could have done a little bit better. However, the X-wings in this sequel trilogy, the design of those,
Yeah.
to me, that is like looking at the F-14 and then the F-22. Like you see the
Evolution.
evolution of that
It is
craft.
smoother.
and
It
it's-
is beautiful.
Like
Yeah, it's like a
Black Horn,
streamlined,
Mhm.
optimized
nice.
version of the
Yeah.
X-wing, but still,
Maybe a better example would be the F-16, keeping it in Lockheed Martin. Or no, wait, was that Lockheed Martin or was that North American?
I don't know. But you can't.
Yeah.
It's the odd man out because it's the only single tail fin,
So
whatever.
the F-18?
F-18.
You got canted.
Yeah.
The
The fox bat and no.
Oh my god.
You're ugly, Russians. Oh, he said it. I'm talking about the fox bat.
people.
I'm talking about the fox bat.
Your
Sorry.
planes are a little bulky.
No, I mean everything after that was fine. The MiG-29, the SU, all of them are pretty. But the fox
29,
bat
31,
and before
35,
are all
37.
they're disgusting. I'm sorry. The fox bat.
Hmm.
All right.
Okay, so speaking of TV and Marvel, how have you guys been feeling about Disney's series? I know so the last time we got together was before the summer, and I think Moon Knight was just about to come out. And
Moon
since
Knight
then-
was amazing.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was just really super well done, high quality. It was like a multi-episode movie. It was great, and the concept was strong. They gave homage to Bill Sienkiewicz, who was one of the illustrators of Moon Knight. It's just a really complex, interesting character, and I loved it.
I think the build up to Jake Lockley was, I don't know, I felt like it was too obvious. Like, I don't know, as someone who knows Moon Knight as like the character and kind of what he
Mhm.
goes through, like
Mhm.
I think I kind of wish I didn't know about Jake going in.
I didn't.
So like at the end when they're running through, spoilers, when they're running through the hospital and you see that third coffin, and
Mhm.
then at the end when Jake shows up and kills what was his name? Ethan Hawke's character.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like I saw that coming because I know who Jake was, but I feel like if I didn't, the payoff would have been a lot better.
Hmm.
Cursed by knowledge.
Yeah, my recollection of it was not that strong. I have a lot of those issues, comic book issues.
Hmm.
So I had like I knew just a little enough about them to enjoy it,
I feel like
and not get spoiled.
I'm going to establish this now. In this group, I will be the hater.
Why are you hating, bro?
Why? We don't need
I'm
a
gonna
hater.
I'm
Just
gonna
to
have
a
an
hater.
issue with every one of these that we're about to talk about.
Okay.
So I will be that guy, but I did enjoy Moon Knight. I will say overall,
okay,
it was a
see?
fun experience.
There you go.
A
Agree.
li-
That's it.
So like
Zip.
grinding of teeth,
We got the Scarlet Scarab.
or people that chew with their mouth open, or people that pick at their fingernails,
It's
or
just an anxious tick.
people
Funny,
that talk
please.
with too much spit in their mouth. I have a pet peeve. Do not introduce your new characters in the establishment of a character.
Yeah.
Meaning, this was Moon Knight's show, and I was having a lot of fun. And the thing that ruined it for me, and this is a personal thing, I hate seeing it happen, is when you've already, like, we've spent all this time getting to know Moon Knight, and yay, Moon Knight. And then they introduce, what was her name, Scarab?
The Scarlet Scarab, yeah.
Yeah,
Is
the
that his
Scarlet
wife?
Scarab.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh, I hate when they do this, man. Like, the only time I've ever appreciated when it was done is Iron Man, where it's after the credits that you see Nick Fury come in.
Mm.
Okay, so now we're establishing a character after you, like, in a way that won't take from the story that's happening at large. There's been no setup. There's been no, like, anything to really hint at, hey, we've got this other character coming. It's just kind of out of the blue at the end. Great. I like it. I love it. Marvel started that way. You know, Tony Stark showing up at the end of Hulk, Thor's hammer showing up at the end of Iron Man 2, I think it was. I appreciate those, like, nods and things, but it feels like a lot of what Marvel has been doing is kind of rushing things to where they're dogpiling characters. And I've had that issue with a couple of stuff, actually.
I think Marvel
but,
did that during Thor, though. They established Hawkeye as a character during Thor.
Yeah, but I mean, if you didn't know who Hawkeye was, if you weren't aware that Hawkeye was supposed to make an appearance, he's so quick that it's like, you know, some people were asking, wait, was that Hawkeye? If you were in the know, you were like, oh, Hawkeye's right there. But it wasn't a setup for Hawkeye. Nobody says Hawkeye.
I mean, yeah, it wasn't
there
as
isn't like
drawn out
this
or-
huge establishing
Yeah.
shot of Hawkeye. Most of that is just like him grabbing a bow, him backlit in the whatever the thing that he's sitting in, you know, when he's watching over. And then they get one shot of Jeremy Renner where he's like, are you going to call it or whatever? Okay, great. You know, if you're in the know, you're like, that's Hawkeye. If you're not in the know, you're just like, oh, okay, this dude sounds, I'm guessing this guy's a superhero, but we'll find out more about him later.
That pretty much established the character.
Yes, but it wasn't this grandiose, like, look who we have here.
Okay, yeah. It
You know
wasn't
what I
like,
mean?
yeah,
Yeah,
they didn't
so-
highlight it. It's just
mhm.
if you knew, you knew.
Yeah, and it's the shifting of the spotlight. And I'm going to get all this out right now. I liked Moon Knight. I don't like when they do this with characters. I actually can appreciate Scarlet Scarab. She's got a very interesting design for me. So I'm somewhat looking forward to seeing how that works out later on.
I feel like
But
that
you
draws
shouldn't have
more
done it right now.
questions about like other.
So that was
MCU
really cool.
characters.
That was a cool
Mhm.
character. Her
With-
design,
Yeah.
it's kind of almost Wonder Woman-ish.
Yeah.
Vaguely.
Kinda
It's
what
like
they
a-
wanted
like
with
gold
Wonder Woman
wings.
in
It
It
84
looked
to
like a
look
cross
like,
between
but-
Wonder Woman and Falcon.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
Okay,
it was very interesting.
yeah.
Um,
I like
I mean,
me likey.
I think
Mhm.
I
Me
get what
like
you're
it.
saying about like them using that to establish somebody else. Because like in Falcon and Winter Soldier, they had the kid that becomes the second Falcon, that kind of liaison
Yeah,
character.
yeah,
they
yeah.
had.
The
Mhm.
Hispanic
And
guy.
Yeah, and he's kind of like, oh, just keep the wings. Like,
Yeah.
but that's kind of all we get from that. We don't get
Yeah,
like
yeah.
him.
Doesn't he become like an
flying
actual like
He becomes the
Um,
second Falcon.
like a
Yeah.
mutant or something with real wings or something? No.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
And I will say this, and again, these are my opinions, and I realize I have a lot of hot garbage takes.
Remember the camera's over there too.
I'm talking between the two. You're throwing me off here, man.
Sorry, buddy. Sorry.
Anyway, Falcon and Winter Soldier, I enjoyed.
It's probably my favorite out of the shows.
Falcon and Winter
I,
Soldier.
I think that one should have been my favorite because it had the
Zemo is just-
aesthetic that I needed.
It's so good.
once again, and I absolutely adore what they did with John Walker. I really like John Walker.
You're so hateable.
I really like Falcon's trajectory. I think the ending episode, and I have a big thing about speeches before action and speeches after action.
Yeah, I know you weren't a fan of his speech at the end.
Yeah, not for what he was saying. Mostly just like, we were watching a kids. I'm gonna tangent with my wife and I were watching a kids movie, and there's this big action sequence, and then after the action sequence, this is an animated movie. This girl gives a speech on like how you should do better, and part of me is kind of like, we went from this giant up-paced thing to now we have to sit and be lectured, and it's not everything she's saying is like right on point. Amen, sister. I understand where you're coming from. These things definitely need to be said. But I feel like you're telling me instead of showing me, and that is the number one sin of anything on film. Like, there has to be a better way rather than going from this momentous action piece to suddenly like we're gonna just stomp the brakes so I can tell these people off.
Yeah, you show exposition. You don't.
Yeah, I really, I don't know how somebody is going to do this better. And again, I have no creative affiliations on the internet. I'm just a dude that likes to watch, listen, and read stuff. But this is my big issue with a lot of the stuff that's come out in the past like about 5 years. Is a lot more speeches are being made and a lot less like visual interpretation, I would almost say.
Yeah.
So, and again, like I aesthetically loved Falcon and Winter Soldier. Story, really good. Had a little bit of a problem that like the story was more about a 16-year-old terrorist than it was about Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I think that was my only gripe with it. I didn't really care for the World Smashers, right? That's what they're called.
Yeah, I think so.
Flag Smashers.
Flag Smashers.
Yeah,
I didn't really care for them.
Yeah.
I was pretty neutral, and that was probably the lightest feeling I had about that show. I liked it overall. My biggest complaint about that was when they went to Madripoor, there were like 2 Asians in Madripoor. I'm like, Madripoor is supposed to be an Asian crime island. Come on. I mean, of course, they were filming in Atlanta.
And that was right before Shang-Chi came out, right? So we had Shang-Chi right after that, and they go to Madripoor, and it's a lot more.
I mean, what they don't have Asians in Atlanta? They can just come on, because that's where they filmed it. Just put some Asian people in there. I counted. I was like, there's one. There's
by frame.
In the
I feel like
scene,
you need to look into the camera just so that everybody understands. Like, this is an issue for you.
This is an issue. There need to be Asians in Madripoor, okay? You got that? Marvel Entertainment Group, Asians in Madripoor.
Because they're totally going to listen to this podcast with maybe 3 viewers.
You know what? I don't like that headspace, man. I don't like that negative stuff.
It
Get
helps
out of
me
here.
operate knowing.
You know that we have a
there's
live
not
viewer
ton.
right now. Just one.
Hey.
But still.
Thank you, live viewer,
Dude, that's the
for
thing,
being
you know,
here. We
It's DNL.
appreciate you.
We love you, DNL. Thank you, buddy.
Are you guys caught up on She-Hulk? Can we talk about She-Hulk?
I am
I am
caught up
not.
on She-Hulk.
I am not.
She-Hulk's great.
Well, plug your ears because we're about to blow this one out of the water.
Do we have to?
I really like
I'll tell
She-Hulk.
you, I'm looking forward
The
to
animation,
watching it.
not the animation, the CGI on her and stuff. There's some points where it does look a little wonky at times, but overall, I think it's a vast improvement compared to that first trailer that people were ragging on.
I'm looking forward to. When I was reading the comics, I always liked it when she randomly popped up.
Yeah.
She was just randomly running around New York, right? And then Spider-Man will just there you are. We don't know each other. Pop, that because that's the superhero trope. If when a superhero meets another superhero, they're both bad guys.
They assume the worst of each other.
Yeah, and they start beating each other. Oh, you're a good guy too. Anyway,
it's like in Infinity War when the Guardians run into Iron Man.
Yeah. You're from Earth. I'm from Arkansas.
No,
I think
from
Avengers
Missouri.
did it best.
Oh, there you go. Sorry.
The
snarkiness of Tony Stark.
yeah, Missouri is on Earth.
Are you gonna ask me if Jesus is my savior? It was so good.
Who do I serve?
Who
Am I supposed to say Jesus? I don't understand all the hate Chris Pratt gets on the internet.
Oh, they're just. Oh, man.
There's
People
hate?
just don't like when
I
somebody else.
love
is
that
successful.
guy. Chris Pratt is.
People bash him.
You know what?
Because he's like openly. I mean, I don't. I
Have
feel
you,
like it's kind of taboo.
have you guys watched Terminal List?
It's on my
No.
list.
Haha. Anyways, so I listened
It's
to
a it's a Amazon original,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
that's one of the audiobooks.
Yeah, I
That
have those as
I
well.
crushed
Really?
that series. Yeah, I stopped in the middle of the last book because sometimes you got to save something
Mm-hmm.
for a rough day.
Yeah.
But the series was really good.
Nice.
Chris Pratt, and I was just looking at what was that? I just saw a clip from that movie that's on Amazon Prime with Chris Pratt. It's
Mhm.
about time travel sci-fi stuff.
Yeah.
The
Tomorrow?
yeah,
Surprisingly
so good. Have you guys watched
entertaining.
it?
Yeah.
It's good, man.
I don't know what it is with Amazon trying to push the Chris Pratt action hero agenda over there.
Hey, it's good. Hey,
It's not just Amazon, dude. He's been.
He's pretty darn
Yeah.
awesome, man.
I mean, I like Chris Pratt. What a jump from Andy Dwyer
Yeah.
to Star Lord.
I mean, like, hold on, because he also did he do? So he was Andy Dwyer on Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
Part of me thought that he got fit in the middle of Parks and Rec to do
Zero Dark 30.
Zero Dark 30 because he played a seal in that.
Yeah.
And then
And then
he got
Star
cast
Lord.
as Star Lord after. Okay.
And it's like
Oh.
very clear, like in the show when he like.
Yeah. No, they
Trims
make
up.
reference to it. Hey, you're looking good. And he's like, yeah, just cut out beer. It was a great little nod there. But yeah, so
Don't
I guess
get
we
on Chris
won't
Pratt.
talk about
Chris
She-Hulk.
Pratt. No, we can. I mean,
Right.
he goes whatever.
My prior to the show, my only like reference to She-Hulk was Avengers Disassembled, when Wanda makes her go nuts. Wanda makes her go nuts, and she like completely savage Hulks out, and I
Did
think
she
she
kill a
tears.
Bucktail?
I think she tears Vision in half.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
That's one of the darkest, craziest, most
Avengers
awesome parts of
Disassembled
Marvel
is
Comics.
amazing.
That's like
Yeah.
post House of M, right?
No,
no,
Or is that before?
that's
Three.
that's actually the reason for House of M was
Yes.
Avengers Disassembled.
Avengers, Thor disassembled, all the Avengers.
Was that Bendis?
I believe it was Bendis.
Yeah.
That is another. I love.
I do. The early
So good
aughts,
too.
man, when they killed Thor and their Ragnarok happened and Thor was dead for like 8
Mhm.
year wait.
Is that when the
Oh,
Ragnarok
4
like
years.
android comes in?
Yeah.
Killed him? Yeah.
Well, since Thor is dead and gone,
Yeah.
apparently Tony Stark had some of his DNA and made a cyborg whatever
Mhm.
during the Civil War thing.
Him and Reed Richards, was it?
Probably, yeah.
They made
And then
a
he
cyborg
kills-
clone of Thor.
He kills somebody during one of the
Goliath.
confrontations.
Goliath.
He puts a lightning bolt straight through Goliath. We're totally spoiling
Chest.
this 15-year-old
If a
comic.
15-year-old
Civil
comic
War-
book, if you haven't
Yeah.
read the Civil War comic books, then
This should make you want to read
I
it.
still
Yeah.
think Civil War is
So,
my
and
favorite.
then
We're-
Hercules
we're not-
bashes his head in.
we're not
Yeah.
spoiling, we're advertising.
Yeah.
Have you seen? Have you all seen Thor yet? Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
I have not.
Oh my
Okay.
goodness, why not? It's probably on
Um,
Disney Plus now.
September 8th. This is when it comes on Disney Plus.
For I don't want to get too into it, but I'm having a hard time giving Disney money right now.
I mean,
Understandable.
That's about as much
do you
as
have
I'll
Disney,
say on the
do you have
app- on
Disney
the-
Plus? I mean, just share it.
I've been grandfathered into that because I have a 3-year-old and a 6-month-old.
Just share it with all your friends. Just share Disney Plus with everyone who doesn't. I'm gonna be quiet now.
Anyway,
No,
I
you
do,
know,
I
Disney-
do plan on
Disney-
wa-
Disney's
Netflix
gonna
tried
go
to,
with
like,
the-
crack
I
down
do
on
plan on watching it.
password sharing.
I'm not gonna
on
like
Netflix.
just flat out skip it, but I may watch it later on down the line. So,
I'll tell you this about it.
oh, it's been completely spoiled. Like I know
Oh.
everything that happens. I just won't watch it.
You know about the post-credit scene?
Which one?
New character that shows up.
That was Hercules.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
we just spoiled the world.
Heyo.
Anyways, so the first half
Played
of
by
the-
what's his name? From
Brett
Goldstein.
Goldstein,
Brett
yes.
Goldstein from the best
Ted
show
Lasso.
in the past 10 years.
The most,
10 Lasso.
I just feel so
Ted
inspired
Lasso.
after I watch that show.
I don't know. I saw him as the guy, and I was like, that's not like the guy from the comic book. The comic book guy was like 80s Jack. This guy was
mean, yeah.
like,
Give him
Like-
time. Give him time.
Yeah.
From what I heard, he was aware of the role like a month before it happened. So
wow.
Dude,
Well,
his character in Ted Lasso, phenomenal. We love Roy Kent. But he's one of the writers on Ted Lasso. And
Yeah.
he wrote the character of Roy Kent. and they didn't have an actor picked for him yet, so he would just stand in as the character. And eventually, they were just like, "You're Roy Kent. Like, we can't imagine anyone else doing this." So
I'm just
The
nodding
most
my head because I've never
jaded,
seen it.
angry man.
Is that the sports show
Ever.
based in Orlando?
no, it's
Isn't there a sports show that was based in Orlando?
I don't think so.
Sports show based
Sports
on
comedy
that
show.
sounds very familiar.
But Ted Lasso, TLDR, American college football coach, gets hired
Gridiron.
to coach a Premier League soccer team
Oh,
in the UK.
Football.
interesting.
Football. Sorry.
Which I found out that soccer is actually a British term.
Huh.
Yeah, it's short for association, and I guess at the time that the term became popular, they were adding to the end of everything, like tenor and a bunch of other slang terms, so it just became soccer.
So
A
it's
so-
just sock.
A saucer?
I don't know.
So,
That's the history
association
that I
there?
heard about it. Yeah.
You got a press quite British, eh? There's a little soccer
I think
association.
going back to the MCU shows, I rewatched WandaVision
Mhm.
recently,
Yeah.
and I think it's better. It was better as a week by week than like I just threw.
Yeah.
Really? So when you watch it all the way through, it didn't
Like
hit you the
especially
same way?
watching it with like new people, they're just like, I don't understand this. Like I don't understand what the point of this first episode was, or like they didn't like the
The
mystery,
situational.
of like what's gonna happen next and stuff like that. It just doesn't play out the same when you can watch the next episode.
At least for something that's like predicated to be Marvel, which is already serialized in a way that like situational comedy kind of doesn't lend itself very well to where each episode is kind of feels like it's a different situation being explored. Yeah. Okay.
And I think the whole
That makes complete
Mephisto
sense.
train around that time was
Oh
a big
man.
contributor to the hype around.
We blame you, new rock stars.
Eric
we
Voss.
really
Yeah.
do blame you. For
Eric Voss,
Mephisto thing.
I think he's from
Mephisto.
Jacksonville.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I know he tends
He went
to,
to UF.
make fun of
Is that the
Florida
chubby
a lot.
one? The chubby one?
Yeah,
Oh.
blonde white guy.
Like
think
according to
he's also-
Gabriel Iglesias, he's probably more in the husky range.
Whatever.
But
You
he's been
know,
looking. He's been looking pretty
he's- yeah.
fit
Lately,
lately. So
yeah.
Because there's a couple
He's
of
got
people
married,
in
yeah.
rock stars, right? There's a couple of.
yeah.
Philip Molina, who I think is the originator of New
Something like
Rockstars, follows me on Twitter.
Does he? Did he?
Throw it out there.
Why did he stop? Is he
We
still on the
are
show?
not worthy.
Still-
I think it's more of like a producer role now.
Oh, so he just doesn't
Just
want to
doesn't-
be on
There you
camera
go.
anymore.
I mean, he still does stuff. He'll still show up for like the break
Bra-
room, which
bravo
is like
for having him follow you. Props.
their daily live stream.
It's so
Uh,
funny that we
Terry
live in a day and age.
Terry Gilliam like totally destroyed me on Facebook once, and it was wonderful. I was like, "Oh, I bow to you."
This
Destroy
is
me
the interesting
more!
thing of living in in the information highway age. Is like somebody that's aware of my existence, that is obviously like some kind of cultural icon, gives me satisfaction in my life. I once had James Gunn
Oh yeah.
retweet me because I noticed in the original concept art for Guardians of the Galaxy, the ships in the back were shaped like Nova stars,
Ah yeah.
and I just wrote like, does this mean Nova's gonna be in Guardians? This is back in 2014 or whatever. And he retweeted it, and I was immediately like, "Oh my gosh, James Gunn retweeted me."
He noticed you.
Nice.
Noticed me.
Thank you, senpai. Yeehaw.
So back to Marvel shows.
I think Loki season 2 just finished filming.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
What did you think of Loki season 1?
I loved it.
I was a big fan.
I think that was some of the best TV ever. It was really, really good. It was written really well. It was beautifully executed.
Giving us Kang without giving us Kang.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, I think that
I'm so
the
excited
one,
for Jonathan
what did they
Majors.
call the guy that actually talked in the end? The one who survived,
the one who came before. I think.
whatever they call him. The way
It's
he
the one
played,
above all, but something like that.
That's like God.
Yeah,
that's like
It's
Stanley.
Jack Kirby is who it
It's
is.
Jack
is a
Kirby.
Stan,
The one above all is Jack Kirby.
Well, Stanley's one of those guys,
Mm-hmm.
right? I know.
Stan's the mailman in the Baxter Building.
Okay. Stan's been in every movie, so he's been all those guys.
He's a Watcher informant within the MCU.
Okay.
Yeah.
forgot what I was gonna
Well,
You're talking
moving
about
say.
we
Wanda.
were talking about.
Oh yeah.
Kang.
The
Loki,
actor that
yeah.
was playing Kang, but
Jonathan
wasn't Kang.
Majors.
Yeah, I didn't like the choices he made for the guy in the end. I was like,
a little eccentric.
yeah. I'm really hoping that the Kang, that we're gonna see is gonna be different and not like
Kang will be completely different. I guarantee.
that. Yeah.
There's gonna be the difference between. Well, I don't even.
I mean, he
know
just
what
played a
difference,
variant.
yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that
Interesting choices.
I think Loki probably had the best score of any of the
Loki was really good.
Really.
yeah of any of the Marvel shows. Marvel had a huge problem with scores prior in their like first and second phase, and I think it's because they just didn't have the money to retain certain people to continue to write the music. I think the first Marvel score that I ever really liked was Winter Soldier, Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
Mm.
I wasn't even really a big fan of the Avengers score until the second movie when it was absent. I was like, oh, I know what I was missing.
What was it in that movie?
In the second movie, it's referenced during the credits, but throughout most, I don't believe you actually hear the Avengers theme in Age of Ultron.
I guess I gotta watch it. Again.
Yeah, until the credits.
Just gotta watch it. Again.
Age of Ultron was one of those movies that was entertaining, but at the same time, it's like, it didn't have that special, like the Winter Soldier.
Hot garbage take. I like it more than the first one.
Did you like it more than the
Yes,
first
I
one?
do.
I think I like it more than the first one.
Yeah,
Bro,
you guys-
Hulkbuster fight?
Yeah, the Hulk fight.
Mm.
Captain America stands out in that movie for me.
I think one of
a
my
lot more, and
favorite-
he's got a better
I think-
suit.
What
Mm.
really makes that movie for me is the party. Just
Yes.
seeing them all hang out.
That's true.
Just
that,
like
that was a
casually
good
interact with
scene.
each other. Just I feel like that's kind of what builds them as a team. Like that shows the rapport that they have with each other and
The
like
hammer.
the hammer scene. Exactly. You see the little nudge.
What did I like about that movie?
Uh,
Okay, so that opening scene when they're attacking the castle,
Yeah.
and then they have that one shot, that super shot of them
Oh,
like
that
in slow mo,
profile view.
and I was
Yeah.
like,
That was pretty cool.
it
like
was
that.
cool,
I liked
but
it a lot.
I was also like, this is a
Big
bit
fan.
much. I don't know.
That really did feel like a splash page.
Yeah, it did, and I don't know if I loved it.
I can get what you're saying because it almost felt like it was trying really hard to be a splash
Exactly.
page. Yeah, that
Trying
makes sense to me.
Really hard, too
That-
hard. They didn't need to.
On the same realm, Civil War was a great movie, but when they're all rushing at each other and it goes into that giant wide shot,
Watching
there are
that
not
IMAX
enough characters
was-
in that wide shot
Yeah.
to justify
Yeah.
that wide shot feeling epic. And I every time I see that, it makes me laugh rather than like makes me feel, oh, this is it.
There
you
are
know?
parts of Civil War that I really like, but that's
Absolutely, yeah.
also
I think
not
Civil
one of
War
my
is my
favorites.
favorite MCU movie.
Okay, can we talk? What are your favorite MCU
Okay.
movies?
Me? Oh, yeah.
Let's do
Okay.
this.
Civil War for sure. I think Civil War is my favorite.
Mm.
Just because of the conflict between Iron Man and Cap.
Mm.
Super good. Cap sticking. I think with what the Sokovia Accords presents as like, hey, this is what we should do in like working with the government. But then Cap's like, yeah, but what if they don't let us go somewhere we need to go?
Mhm.
You know, like
Yeah. Very libertarian point of view.
Yeah.
Government.
Cap
then-
was right, 100%.
yeah.
Cap was right.
One of my best friends, Drexel. Shout out to Drexel.
What's up,
He,
Drexel?
He's still Team Iron Man to this day.
Like,
We got into like a serious
I don't
debate
trust
about it.
him.
Maybe like
No, I'm
2
just
weeks
kidding.
ago. He was like, dude, Cap is so selfish. Like, he only did all this stuff for Bucky. I'm like, dude, what? Like, that's so base level
Mm.
of like who he is as a character. Like, I don't know. He thinks Cap was ultimately very selfish in the fact that what did he say? He said that like Cap going like he didn't need to like throw the ship in the sea. He didn't need to do that. He didn't need to like
Throw the ship in the sea.
like at the end of First Avenger, like when he like
Oh, the plane?
Yeah, the plane when he.
He absolutely needed to.
I'm like, yeah. I'm like, come on. And then he's
What?
like, his whole relationship with Bucky is just because like that's his friend. I'm like, it's not just that, but there's more to it, obviously. But
Okay, go ahead. Bro, you're making me want, like, Drexel, you gotta
Take
be here because yep.
Drexel, we're
I'm gonna
calling you
Bart
out.
Simpson
We're
the opinion
calling you
editor.
out, Drexel. What's Drexel's last name?
it starts with an H.
We're not
Harris?
gonna start calling out
Am I not
people on our
supposed to say it
podcast.
aloud?
We have a lot of power here.
We're calling you out, Drexel.
But yeah, I don't don't know. We still get into like heated debates about it, but I think like even Zemo had like a really good point. Like we don't need any more super soldiers. Like that whole
Yeah, that
aspect,
was.
and then that's what brings him back in with Falcon and Winter Soldier. I think I agree with him. You know, look what happened when they tried to replicate it. We got the Hulk. We got Wolverine. We got like how much damage the Hulk has caused. Like
Yeah.
probably the main like the lead contributor to like casualties within their battles is probably the Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Civil War, great.
Let me ask you this. So, and again, hard garbage take.
Wait. Top 3.
Top 3.
I don't want to
like,
lose the Civil
I
War
think,
conversation.
I think there's a difference between like my favorite and what I think is the best. I think the best MCU movies are Winter Soldier,
Agreed.
Infinity War, phenomenal, and I think Infinity War just has a feel to it. I don't know how to explain it.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like I also feel this way about the first Star Trek movie J.J. Abrams does. It doesn't feel like a movie, which is what I really enjoyed about it. But like Infinity War, like with the we lost, and that's exactly how I wanted the movie to play out.
The Empire Strikes Back of our generation.
Yes. I also have a question about that, but another time.
Okay.
And my third favorite, let's see, I really liked No Way Home. No Way Home was really good, but that movie just has a ton of fan service, so. So that's one of my favorites, along with Civil War, and then I really liked Thor Ragnarok. And the first Guardians.
That's in my. I
think the first Guardians is also one of the best MCU movies.
I can see that. Yeah.
All right. You want to say your favorites, or you want to continue the Civil War?
I will say my favorites after I ask Gabe a question. Civil War. For me, one of the things that kind of threw me through a loop is that we went from the political stance of Cap and Iron Man to then a personal
like the vendetta
problem.
Yeah.
Which never really resolves what Civil War was supposed to be about, because it's kind of like the comic book made it very clear, and I love the line so much at the end of the comic book Civil War when I don't know if it's Falcon or somebody turns to Cap and he's like, "What are you doing? We're winning," because he didn't just pummel Stark right in front of him. And Cap looks up and he looks at all the carnage and he says, "Yeah, everything but the argument," because he realized what he stood for was lost in how they tried to achieve it. And I feel like we don't get that out of Cap in Civil War, because it descends into this personal vendetta, which, I mean, I was all on board for that, the fight between the two, but then it does become the chase of like, this is all about Bucky,
I think Bucky was at the center of that conflict to begin with.
Yeah, well, I mean,
like that's the reason they fight, is because they're trying to get Bucky, and they're trying to arrest everyone else that's helping him and like aiding him.
No, the reason for the original argument is because Wanda throws up crossbones and the bomb blows up, and then you have this argument between the two. I think that is the core argument of like Cap's argument. What if they need us to go somewhere and they won't let us, and what if
they send us somewhere that
we shouldn't be.
Yeah.
That government control.
They become
surrendering
their own personal.
Yeah.
I think Cap was already that before. I think that's why Cap felt so strongly about not being that again.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Like when he goes to rescue Bucky, like that's like off the books. That wasn't like.
No, yeah, he goes.
That wasn't like sanctioned by like
Yeah. And they set that up with Winter Soldier, which is my number one pick.
I think
Captain America, Winter Soldier.
That's in my stack too.
Is my favorite MCU movie of all time, because it is a Captain America character study. You get everything you need to know about who Captain America is as a person in that movie. You get the man out of time. You get the loneliness. You get the resolve, the loyalty. All of it is there. And then probably the best Marvel speech ever, when he's on the intercom on the helicarrier. Like, I don't think there are any other speeches in any Marvel movies that match that. Like,
and that's when
I have to watch that again tonight.
The MCU connected with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
And that's like the only moment Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. connected with anything.
Yeah.
No, it's not true. That's not true. They had
Everything
several,
else was they tried and
Sif
it
would
just
show
kind of,
up, or,
yeah.
like,
they had
this
several
random person would be like
several
an
Asgardians, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, but nothing
I think that's
really
when,
had the stakes that Captain America did for that. So
I think that's what made Agents of Shield good.
yeah.
At first, it was just like a flavor of the week kind of show, but then when it turns out that this agent that's been with him this whole time has been Hydra, it kind of creates a lot of drama.
Dude, that
I was
entire
so
Hydra.
upset with that.
Dude,
Gary, whatever his face, I don't even remember what his name was.
oh, the Hispanic guy,
No, the dude that winds up betraying them all.
Agents
the,
of Shield.
the mustache
Yeah.
guy.
No,
No,
he's
no.
got a beard, right? Or he's got like a
He's
light
got like a-
aftershave
Oh,
or
the
shave
guy
thing
that was
going on.
with him and turned out to be a bad guy,
Yeah,
and he was like their prime guy.
I was
Yeah.
like, way to rip my heart out.
Fitzsimmons was like
Yeah.
a standout.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Agent Garrett that
What's
they
his name?
mentioned. No, Agent Garrett was the mentor of I think who you're talking about, the guy that
No,
they
I
were.
thought Garrett was.
Garrett was
The dude that comes back as an alien later on in the series. I don't like Mr.
I don't
Tentacly. Anyway, my number 2 pick.
Go.
Getting back to it. Man. I'm going to have to go with Thor Ragnarok. Mostly because, again, I think that movie broke Thor in a way that we kind of needed to see that wasn't redundant. Because we had, like, Thor being humiliated in the first movie to get him to a point where he understands that he's not the center of attention. He's not, like, the end-all, be-all of decision making and things, and it was something that needed to happen to transform him from a boy to a man. But I think Thor Ragnarok brings the character kind of around to a place where he has to understand. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but at the end of the first Thor, he decides, no, I'm going to stay around Midgard. I'm going to help out around. Or no, he wasn't able to go back to Midgard, but he doesn't accept the position of king.
Yeah.
Right. And then in the second movie, he's going back to Midgard to help out with Midgard, but again, he's still not accepting his position. He's more dealing with Natalie Portman's problem and like figuring things out with this new threat. Whereas, that identity of, stop running from the person that you were always supposed to become happens in that third movie. And I think that is the thing that I most enjoy sometimes about characters is everybody says, it's all about the journey, but sometimes the journey, I see what you do. Sometimes the journey is only enjoyable if you have an ending that is worthwhile, which is why Game of Thrones sucked.
I disagree.
Anyway.
I like it. I like that last season too.
Season
I
8
like
is the
last
worst.
season. Dude, House of Dragons?
Have you watched
We'll talk
it?
about that later.
Yeah, okay, we'll talk about that later.
My third and final pick for my MCU shortlist is the first Iron Man. I think that's more of a nostalgia trip for me. I just love that movie and everything that it was when it came out. It's like the first honest, good comic book movie for me. The Batman series was great. And I really enjoyed Batman Begins. That's my favorite of that trilogy. We'll deal with that another day. But to see something that was very comic booky and not taken in like the dark, gritty approach, but they handled it in such a way where it was both serious and lighthearted. We understand how campy this is, but we're going to take it like it's an actual thing.
Jon Favreau's great.
And it was good. It was so good, man. And that armor, bro, the first time seeing that on screen, that was probably that
was a good
talk about Mechs, myth, and magic. That was all three wrapped in one on the screen for me that day. So good.
I have a Marvel hot take.
Go for it.
I don't think it's not an. Well, it's kind of MCU. I think Tobey Maguire is a bad Spider-Man. I'm not a huge fan. Like, I understand the nostalgia behind it.
Shame on you.
But I mean, dude, I don't know. Spider-Man's he's charming, he's funny, he's smart. Even like without the suit, Spider-Man pulls. Peter Parker pulls. Like,
I don't think
Tobey
I don't know
Maguire
about
is
that.
so bad. He's bad Spider-Man. He just lacks like.
Spider-Man 2 was
Spider-Man
one
2
of the
is good,
greatest
yes.
comic book movies ever.
It's hard to not
Absolutely.
like Spider-Man 2. It was great, but I'm not a huge fan. Like I get the nostalgia.
Hey, get off the haterade, bro.
The hater.
No, drink it. Let it quench your thirst.
All right.
I think Andrew Garfield was
Palpatine.
great. Tom Holland. I'm really interested to see where his character goes. Now that
Man.
literally, what do you think about like this new origin that they've given Spider-Man within the MCU?
So it's gonna be, at least it's gonna be more comic book accurate.
Yeah.
Because the way the MCU Spider-Man started, you know, they just gave him everything at the beginning. You know, in the comic books, Spider-Man was a struggling dude always, and then during Civil War is when he got hooked up with Grant and, you know, Stark and all that. You know, so it took a while to get there. And at that point, he's an adult. He's, you know, full-grown adult, whatever. So I like that they kind of rebooted it. I think, you know, all the stuff that happened before that's great, but now I can't remember it
Aunt
because
May in the Uncle Ben role.
Here's my issue. Before he had 3 movies, Peter Parker already had the with great power comes great responsibility mentality. Because I don't know if there was an Uncle Ben at this point. And if there was, then it wasn't his origin, but he's Spider-Man and he already understands that when the bad things happen and you have the power to stop them but don't, that's on you. Like he literally says that in Civil War.
Yeah.
Like he understood because of some experience, but that's not the origin. Instead, it's later on when he has a personal vendetta, and it's like, no, you know, Aunt May's got to have her moment to tell him that quote. I love those movies. I think all 3 Spider-Man movies of recent have been very good, but I am not a fan of the like, let's do it again so we get our moment, like, kind of thing that they've been doing a lot lately.
I get
the last Spider-Man.
And by they,
movie,
I mean Hollywood.
the last Spider-Man movie was the greatest of
It was
Tom
the best, though.
of the Tom Holland ones. I can barely remember the other ones, but it's not only great because there were 3 Spider-Mans and Aunt May made me cry and all that stuff. It's because the Filipino dude's a wizard, and when they're speaking Tagalog, you know, at his home, I'm like, I can understand everything you're saying. I have a Lola too. So that's why that's probably the best MCU movie ever.
Because of the Tagalog.
Because of the Filipinos.
Representation.
Filipino
matters.
is a wizard. So yeah. No, that's not even my group. That's just it's the best MCU movie.
So Dante, what's your 3?
So I don't have 3, but I do have favorites.
No.
Yeah.
No. You gotta follow the rules. We didn't just give 3 for you to.
No,
to
I gave
break
a
the
bunch.
I
rules.
gave what I think are the best 3.
I'm gonna give
and
the
I
best.
Gave my
But I'm
favorite
not gonna go into, like, you know, details. But both
Those
of
rules.
both of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies are top shelf. Great movies. They both made me cry.
I give him
I
8
love
tier.
So up there is Black Panther,
BP was good.
Winter Soldier, and Ragnarok. Those are my favorites. And then when it comes to, like, the Avengers movie, I mean, they're entertaining and stuff, but those movies are all, like, kind of like a formula. You know, it's like we just put it all together. But the movies I mentioned really hit me in the guts. You know, it hit me in the heart. And, like, this is a good movie. It's not just an entertaining comic book movie, but, you know.
I think today is 2 years to the day Chadwick died.
Oh, why'd you have to bring that up?
Dude,
Way to
why
ruin
did you
it.
bring that up?
You said BP, and I thought.
I mean, I love it,
Yeah.
but you don't have to bring up.
It's sad.
That is, but it's not.
That is
because-
my reasoning for thinking that this next one may falter.
They should have recasted him.
No,
I think they should have recasted
I think
him.
Chadwick Boseman was the charisma and the reason to see the first movie. I do not think you have that for the second one. Because he's not there, I do not have a reason to go see this second movie. That is my problem.
I don't know. Chadwick Boseman is
Bro,
great,
as a Mexican, you have to go watch it. Namor's in it.
Hey.
and he's
and
a
he's
Mexican.
Mexican
Name
now,
more than Mexican.
so-
No.
Look at my phone
No.
wallpaper.
Hey, I will say this. I will say this right now. I support Mexican rolls.
Look at that.
Please give me an
What?
Sam Alexander at some point.
On
I do
his
not like the
Megalodon? Look at
retconning
this.
of Namor
do
to be
Megalodon throne?
some kind of
Look at this.
Aztec Mayan descendant
Whoa!
for this movie. I am not a fan.
Well, why don't you watch it and find out first?
I mean, they have to differentiate.
I mean, it could turn out to be great. I
Yeah.
still won't be a fan of the fact that they retconned it.
What I was saying about Chadwick Boseman.
What are you
was,
saying?
Although he was
Drama
great,
cells.
although he was great, Black Panther was
I'm
more
just
than that.
giving my actual. See, this is my podcast. I'm going to give you my thoughts.
you just completely.
You can't
cut-
shut me up. Yeah, I'm sorry. Me and Eves are having this
I
side
think
thing here.
BP was a big cultural moment,
Besides that, even
and I think
it was
that,
a great story. It was written great. I
Oh,
mean,
right.
it was. I mean, there was
Great
like the
job,
two
yeah.
fathers. Also, he hit me in the gut, man. It was just really, really well written, and then even the bad guy,
Killmonger.
went out like
Yeah.
a boss.
Dude, it's so hard not to like Michael B.
I
Jordan.
know.
I will say that movie to me sparks the beginning of the problems Marvel may have had with CG studios.
Oh yeah, that
Because
was,
the ending of that movie is
that was
rough,
rough.
visually.
What
that was-
is that a company? CG Studios.
No. Just
Like,
in
just-
general,
yeah.
Marvel right now is having an issue with any kind of visual graphic studio because they're too demanding and they're not paying enough. And part of me is like, if you go back to Black Panther and you watch that ending
That ending fight.
feels like somebody probably just was like, it's good enough, put it in the movie.
It's like a
You know, when-
PS4 cutscene.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I mean, I if I went back up and watched it, you know, maybe I'd feel that way, but I don't care because the story was that good.
It was really
Fair
good.
enough.
I mean, I'm a Doctor Who fan. Come on, they had great stories and no production value.
That-
They
that
had a
puts you-
multi-billion-dollar production value. I mean, you're complaining about Black Panther or in that movie and that CG, which is probably some of the best CG out of all the CG that's ever been done.
I would
Yeah,
Yeah.
harshly
yeah.
and vehemently disagree.
Yeah, I'm like, it's
it
pretty
didn't
bad.
matter to me. The story was
Mhm.
great.
I mean, I get it,
So
though.
I,
I don't-
so I could just, I could just, like,
Yeah. No, it's a compelling movie with a very charismatic lead.
I swear, great villain.
So that's
Mm.
part of my issue with
That
why I'm not so excited. about
I'm
this movie,
so
but I'll
interested
still
to
see
find
it.
out how they deal with
See, but
with
that's-
Black Panther, the Chadwick Boseman character. Like, are they gonna say,
Yeah, but don't
did
you
he
see
go
that
out
as
like a
an
boss,
issue?
or did he die of cancer, or did he what? I mean, I wonder how they're gonna deal with it.
Yeah.
If they're gonna have a historic flashback that we see him dying like a boss,
'cause
like a
he
hero.
didn't-
I don't
didn't
think they're
film
gonna do
anything
anything
for it.
like that.
I don't know what they're gonna do,
I don't
but
think he
I'm
filmed at all
excited to
for it.
find.
But that's like the first
But
15 minutes.
He's in a mask.
Then
It doesn't
what?
matter. They can just show Black Panther dying like a hero.
I mean, even their like the CG recreations of stuff they do are top tier.
So I'm excited to see how they deal with it.
Mhm.
I think one of my gripes with the MCU is killing off great villains.
Yeah. It very much.
Yeah.
Well, if it's
Like,
anything
they
like the
killed off
comic
Everybody's
book,
Ronan.
out pretty quick.
who?
Ronan the Accuser
Bro.
killed him off.
Is he dead?
Yeah.
Yes.
Where did he die?
Guardians 1.
The
They
Power Stone
destroyed
blew him
with
up.
the Power Stone. Yeah.
That was a
Oh,
very
he's
He's
bad
in the
idea.
Power Stone. He's in the Power Stone. I don't know.
He would be in
It's
the
not the
Soul
Soul
Stone
Stone,
if that
no.
were the case.
Yeah.
But
I'm sure all the stones can function that way.
I mean-
yeah, Stain, Ezekiel or Obadiah Stane.
Obadiah.
I really, so there's some
Jeff
rumors
Bridges.
that Ezekiel Stain will turn up in Armor Wars, if not the Iron Heart series, and I adore Ezekiel Stain.
Have you
as a
seen
villain.
any of the like the toy leaks for Ironheart? Her
Mm.
suits in BB2?
It looks very mecha-ish.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
yeah?
it looks very Japanese
I'm
mecha-ish.
totally
They
looking that
they
up
keep
now.
her like the design of her helmet from the comics, which I really like. It's very triangular
Mhm.
and like pointed, and I think that's kind of a big differentiator from her suit to Iron Man's suit.
Although Iron Man's the last suit,
His last
Um,
suit. The nano.
not in the MCU, but in the comics. Not the I don't believe it's the current one, but there was one that was really sleek, and the plate was very triangular,
Hmm.
and it was just that faceplate. And I
I know what you're talking about.
yeah.
I think that was in the all new all
It was
new
after
Marvel.
Superior Iron Man. Was it Superior Iron
Ooh,
Man?
Superior Iron Man was good.
Yeah,
Bad
yeah.
Guy Iron Man.
It was the suit after the Superior
That's a
Iron
good
Man
one.
suit, which would have been after Secret Wars.
You know about Bad Guy Iron Man? It's what is it during Axis when
Yes.
everyone flips, but it kind of turns out that like Tony Stark is just that like what's the word?
Narcissistic.
Yeah, narcissistic. Yeah. So he remains like a villain.
He his villain self kind of convinced his regular self that like this is the true me anyway. So he never went to his polar opposite. He just was his polar opposite. So that was a pretty interesting story.
Everyone's moral.
Axis was
Like they all flip.
very interesting.
So the good guys are bad guys are good guys. This is a good one.
Yeah.
Probably one of my favorite Iron Man suits with the open face design.
Yeah. Oh, with the
Yeah.
head thing. I saw a lot of concept art with Tom Cruise in that suit.
Oh yeah,
Which
dude, that
suit?
would be great.
The Superior Iron Man suit, the
It's
silver
like
one.
White. Is it silver? Yeah.
It's like silver and white. Yeah.
Kind of got like a little blue tinge to it.
There was so much of that concept art floating around that part of me was like
Dude, I was really hoping
disappointed that I didn't get
if he was in the
Superior
Illuminati, that
Iron
would
Man
be
Tom
great.
Cruise.
Why don't you try that, Tom Cruise?
I
watched the Mission Impossible movies recently. The first 3 are just like bad.
no, the first one was good. The second one was bad.
It's just so
I
slow
don't remember
and,
the
like-
third one.
J.J. Abrams, another rebooted series.
Did he do the 4th one?
No,
Fourth Protocol?
I think the fourth one was the beginning of the Chris McQuarrie.
Because those are the ones. I think the 4th one is the one that really kind of blew it
I
up.
think maybe not. Yeah. Fourth one was Ghost Protocol. Ghost Protocol was awesome. That was such a good movie.
I haven't seen it yet. Is that the one with Henry?
No,
No,
Henry
that's-
was the most recent one, which was not Rogue Nation.
I thought it was
Fallout.
Fallout. Yeah.
Fallout,
He
yeah.
reloads his arms.
So that was one of those things where trailers are better than the actual movie because they actually make the sound effect of like, and then in the movie he does it and there's no sound effect and it just looked like some dude that was loosening up for a fight and I was like, oh, that's not how it's supposed to be.
Dante, what were you saying about? You were saying something about. Was it Namor?
Before I so rudely interrupted you.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm glad that they're kind of changing him up a bit. He will have his feet wings. He's gonna be a mutant.
I've seen that. I've seen feet
Yep.
wings.
Well, we
even
don't
in
know
the
if he's going to be a
trailer-
mutant yet,
I
but
mean,
he's
Kamala.
got it.
They made Kamala a mutant, so I don't see why they would.
Did they?
Terrible idea.
It's
Yeah.
official in that.
I mean, the original writer of Kamala Khan wanted her to be a mutant, but Marvel was like, "We're kind of pushing Inhumans right now, so make her an Inhuman."
I need my Inhumans.
Me too.
After
Bolt-
Black Bolt's appearance in Doctor
Mhm.
Strange, if they do
Oh,
not
Black
bring
Bolt.
that back, I will be thoroughly
I
upset.
feel like,
But again, this is the same company that
So
teased
good.
Nova over, 8 years ago? And I still haven't gotten a Nova movie, series, character. He hasn't even popped up.
I mean, D23
like, they've tried to
coming
bring
out.
him in
You know-
on so many levels, and he still isn't here.
There's a Nova Corps ship in front of the new ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Still no Richard Rider.
Yeah, Richard Rider's great.
Ugh.
I really like that.
It's
Resurrection
thoroughly
book you
upsetting
had given me.
to have a tease like
You
that.
Left Me. That was a good one. What was I just saying? I don't know. Brain fart.
Happens.
They're changing Namor. 'Cause, I
Mhm.
mean, if they kept him Atlantean,
Yeah,
they're
there would've
competing
been-
with Aquaman.
Mhm.
I mean, Namor came
I can
first,
see
but
that. Although, isn't it Atlian? I don't think it's Atlantean. I want to say that,
Atlan?
yeah, something like that.
There
There's
is
a very
there
small
is an
change to the
there
name.
is an Atlan in the comic books.
Yeah.
Isn't that where the Inhumans live?
I think so.
No, I thought that was.
I think you're right.
I'm pretty sure
No,
that's
it's
the
called
name of the
Atlan.
Inhuman city.
Yeah.
Dude, the Inhumans,
Hmm.
I feel like they're so slept.
But in the
Inhumans
comic books, he's
Or
from
the
Atlantis.
X-Men meets Game
Yeah.
of Thrones. There's different kingdoms of Inhumans, and dude, it's just so good. I love the Inhumans. Medusa, when Black Bolt goes missing post Secret Wars,
Mm-hmm.
the Hickman Secret Wars, and then Medusa becomes queen. I mean, she was already queen, but when she takes over,
Mm-hmm.
so good. I think she dates Johnny Storm for a bit. Who hasn't Johnny Storm dated?
I
Yeah,
still say it.
Honestly, he dated her sister too.
Did he?
Yeah,
Wow.
Johnny and Crystal.
Oh yeah,
That was
Yeah.
a long time ago. Though.
that's kind of weird.
Johnny kind of gets around.
He does.
I know one of the best fights of all time in a comic book for me. Just splash page after splash page after splash page
this is what I think it is.
was War of Kings.
Yeah.
And the fight between
So good.
Black Bolt and Vulcan
So good.
goes like that's like one of those that I need a frame just walking through that fight.
Does Black Bolt kill Vulcan?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And it tears a hole in space. It's amazing.
It's so good. Even when Black Bolt fights Thanos in Infinity, that was really good too.
Did Thanos smack him down though? Like he took
Kinda
it full
both.
brunt to the face, and then he was just like,
He sets off the Terrigen bomb and blows up the
"Oh
city.
yeah."
And then that's when, I mean, that killed a bunch of mutants as well, though. That was kind of a big issue.
Hmm.
This giant cloud of like roaming Terrigen mist that would kind of just go around the world and.
Yeah. I really wanted Inhumans so that we can get an Inhuman mutant war.
I don't know. It's so weird. Like when the Inhumans were doing their thing in the comic books, it was after
Do you want to
Battle.
clarify what new
The thing was,
So
people that
I'm
I don't know. The new Inhumans.
yeah. Well, I
The
lost my
Inhumans?
track of thought. Okay, no. So after
They're
they
called
after
the Newmans.
all I think of is Seinfeld. No
I knew it.
So after they rebooted 616 and Battle World and all that
Secret
stuff,
War, yeah.
and there were no X-Men around, it was really weird because it was like what was happening in comic books was reflecting Marvel business,
Mhm.
right? And it seems like they were squeezing out Fox. Like, we're not even going
Yeah,
to
that's
publish
what they were
Fantastic
doing.
Four. We're not going to
Yeah.
publish the X-Men, and that's when they were trying to make the Inhumans a thing. They were in
It's
print a
Disney.
lot, and then they had the TV show. How'd you like the TV show? Yeah, I watched like 15 minutes of it, and I was like, I can't.
I didn't even
it.
watch it.
I want to
I
try.
thought the casting was so good.
Anson
Reese
Mount's
was great.
pretty cool.
Anson Mount was great. The guy that played Maximus.
Who played Maximus?
What's his name?
Was it the guy from Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's,
The
I can't remember his name.
Reed,
Yes.
the Howland, the
The
bad guy.
His name's kind of hard to pronounce.
Ramsey Bolton.
yeah, that guy.
Yeah, I can't remember what his name is, but yeah, dude, the casting was just so good, but the show was just set up to fail because it was supposed to be a movie, then they made it a limited TV series, and
Mm. No bueno.
Lockjaw looked so bad.
Yeah,
Hair.
so
They shaved Medusa's head in the first episode.
they did.
I've
Like-
heard Lockjaw is supposed to make an appearance in the Marvels.
I hope so, dude. Lockjaw's great.
Lockjaw.
The Marvels.
The big
sequel
dog.
to Captain Marvel. So it's gonna have
Captain Marvel, the TV show,
Captain Marvel the movie.
the movie.
The sequel's gonna be called The Marvels
Huh.
with Kamala Khan and Carol
and
together.
Monica Rambeau.
Yeah.
Photon.
And I've been hearing that Lockjaw will make an appearance.
Yeah, I mean, because
I don't know how
he has a relationship
that
with
is,
Kamala
but-
Khan, but we'll see.
Yeah.
In the TV show too? No.
I don't think so.
He doesn't
We haven't
show
even
it.
heard if there's gonna
I
be
mean,
a
I don't
season
know.
two of
Why
that.
would they put him in there if she's not an Inhuman?
I don't know. I only
What
watched the
would
first
her
two
connection
episodes.
to Lockjaw be?
I don't know. Maybe
What
it
was
turns
it in
out
the
she's
comic
not an
books?
Inhuman.
I mean, she's an Inhuman, so she.
mutant.
Oh, in the comic books.
In the
she's
comic,
in
she's
it.
an Inhuman, so she's hanging out with other
Yeah.
Inhumans.
Yeah,
So
okay.
she knows the royal family. She knows. Lockjaw.
Well, you guys got any closing thoughts, or hey, what have you guys been reading lately? What recommendations can you give anybody that's listening?
Bosch, the Bosch series of criminal procedurals.
Yes.
So the TV show led me to the books, and
Is
it's
that
really awesome.
also an Amazon
Okay.
show?
It's an Amazon show, yeah.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay.
Audiobooks are great.
Nice.
Sandman by Neil Gaiman.
Mm.
Big
My
fan.
my omnibus is in the
And
mail.
that
Big fan. You
that
can
just
read
hit
the
Netflix?
books. You can read the comics. I think DC are the ones who publish the comics.
Yes.
was it Vertigo?
I think it was.
I think it might have started out as
Yeah.
Vertigo.
You can watch the show on Netflix. Neil Gaiman was very involved with the show on Netflix, so it's pretty. There are like some liberties here or there, but it's pretty spot on for the most part. I think it covers like the first 2 volumes. The first season of the show. I don't know. I think it's been greenlit for a second season already, but the first season of the show covers, I believe, the first 2 volumes of the Sandman, or the first 2 books of the Sandman series.
Nice. So I just finished the House of X and Powers of X trade paperback that Dante gave me. Highly recommended. That is a Hickman run, and I had a lot of fun with that one. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Um, so, in the comic books, if you're looking for something to read, that's great. The Galaxy's Edge novels are amazing. If you're looking for some good sci-fi, that's both an audio and an ebook format. Um, None of these people are paying us. We're just giving recommendations of the things that we
I
love.
want to give a recommendation for a comic book, the Alien comic book. That's been out. It's been running for about a year now.
Oh yeah.
The first 7 issues, one continuous story, and then they started another arc. It's the only thing I'm reading in comic books right now. I met the author. The author is really cool. His last name's Kennedy,
Yeah.
I think, or that might be his middle name. He's got like 3 names, right?
Nice.
But that's the best thing I'm reading right now. And I just picked up there's a Predator comic book now, and if it's anything at the quality of the
Right.
Alien comic book,
Oh.
I'm gonna be really happy. So yeah, Alien is great though.
Dude, Prey was so good.
So yeah, we'll get into
Prey
that
was
next
good.
time.
Ooh yeah.
I know I've also been on a nostalgia kick, and I recently watched all of Gundam 0083, The Stardust Memory.
I've never seen that. We need to watch
Oh
that.
yes, basically it's Top Gun in Gundam form, and it's great in both design and animation. So that's an early '90s one. If you're looking for some classic nostalgia kick animation from an anime,
Be a weeb.
yes, watch Stardust Memory. Check that out maybe, or War in the Pocket,
cool to watch
0080,
anime
both
now.
Gundam.
Weebs are cool, apparently.
well,
says Gabe.
It's in with the young crowd.
Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me tonight.
Word.
This is Mechs, Myth, and Magic, Episode 9, The Return of Mechs, Myth, and Magic. Have a good day.
Say la vie.
And we're out. Oh, yeah. So.
Nice.